always excited to actually catch up with the guy whose seat I'm sitting in for the last couple of days. Rich Eisen, the host of the Rich Eisen Show, is joining the Rich Eisen Show with Kirk Morrison in for
Great
Rich
setup,
Eisen.
Kirk.
Thanks,
I love
Rich.
it.
What do you do now, Rich? I mean, it's been.
I limp on the plane, and I come home, and I go on the air tomorrow right in that chair and have Daniel Jeremiah join. And
Are you, Rich? I know you gutted it out. Outstanding performance as always, but hey, sometimes you got to play hurt, and I know you went out there and gutted it out. But how sore are you?
Scale of 1 to 10.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm in the 8 to 9 range right now. Brockman and the story tomorrow.
Okay.
But it reared its ugly head a little faster than I had hoped.
Yeah, you could see yourself kind of grimacing on when they showed the package on NFL Network just now.
But it's amazing how physically demanding, and people who ran it,
right?
People who ran it just for whats and giggles, how physically demanding show that have been very generous to chime in on NFL.com/RunRichRun. The donate button is still there for people to go to. We got an incredibly generous donation from a member of the NFL who I'm still trying to get clearance on to announce, because I don't people make a donation. I don't know if they want it talked about or anything like that, but incredible. That gives us an outside shot of raising $500,000 this year alone. So it's pretty amazing.
Great, Rich.
Amazing. Great job, Rich.
Awesome, man.
Rich, I'm listening to the broadcast and outstanding job by you and Daniel Jeremiah, and then it's like Bill Belichick has just come in and crashed the party and delivers a check to you for St. Jude's. And I think we look at Bill Belichick, the coach, but then when he comes in as Bill Belichick, the person, and kind of hands you a check, just talk about that encounter.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I was given a little heads up that he might be coming by, but I didn't know when, and certainly not during the middle of the linebacker drills. And, he drops off the check and shakes your hand, gives you a thumbs up. And the fact that he does that, and, obviously in the Twitterverse, people will always be a hater or what have you, but the fact that he does it on the air means so much, because it raises awareness, which is half the battle of fundraising, is getting it out there. Awareness is just such a crucial aspect of it. And the fact that he did do that, the man who's with 6 Lombardi trophies and is the reigning Super Bowl head coach, for him to do that, it just raises awareness through the roof. You could see the video getting clipped off and shared, and stories written about it, and each one of those lends to the fact that we had a record-setting amount of donations just to our online NFL.com/RunRichRun site. That set a record this year, and I just think that there's just a lot of people in this world that are looking for stuff to feel good about. And what can make you feel better than getting sick kids better? And Belichick did it. Matt Patricia did it. Mooch sent out a challenge to people to do it. And like I said, a member of the NFL community made a record-setting donation. And it's just pretty cool. It's pretty neat. AT&T and the NFL Network, and Marriott and Wrangler and Under Armour gave me the shoes. They're all been corporate partners. And Sweat Taylor, I'll talk about it tomorrow, the suit that they made for me. It's if I only had run faster. I'm trying to not fixate on the fact that I didn't set a personal best, but there's next year when I'm 50.
We're joined now by Rich Eisen. He is the host of the Rich Eisen Show. I'm Kirk Morrison, filling in for Rich. And
thanks for doing this, Kirk. You have fun with these guys?
I always have fun. They're like my brothers. You know what I mean? I get a chance to come out on a little family vacation. We hang out until you get a chance to come back. But Rich, I think for a lot of people, for me, you are a familiar voice when it comes to combine coverage. But this time it was a new partner. You mentioned Daniel Jeremiah's name. So with you and Mike Mayock, do you guys try to avoid each other now when you're at the combine setting, or you try to get all the information you can?
I ran into him in the building, walking into the building the other day on, I forget what day it was, Saturday.
Yes.
And he's on Sky. He's on Cloud 9. I mean, this is what he's this is what he's been born to do, is evaluate, and obviously doing this for television is one thing, but the fact that he's doing it for real,
Right.
is well, for real. Obviously, he's doing it for real for the NFL Network, but as a professional evaluator, not for television, but for a team to actually evaluate to win a real Super Bowl, is something that I think has really humbled him in a way that that he's just you're scraping him off the ceiling every day when he goes to work. And Gruden's an interesting cat, and he's got 3 first-round picks in his first time out. I mean, not many general managers have that ever in their career, let alone first draft. And he's going to go to all these pro days, but not on behalf of Path to the Draft on the NFL Network, but on behalf of the Raiders. He's loving it. And he stopped by. He crashed the set during the 40-yard dashes yesterday, and it was just like riding a bike, you know. So it was something that I think he enjoyed doing for 2 segments. It was great to have him back, and it just speaks to DJ's Daniel Jeremiah's character and the fact that he has no ego, or that he's not like, hey, this is my gig now, and Mayock's coming back. It's just everybody genuinely likes each other. We have a good time, and hopefully that comes through on the screen.
But still, the biggest takeaway from the entire draft experience for you is it's always you come in with a storyline, right, Rich? And then where does that storyline materialize? And when you walk away, is it still the big storyline? For you, what is that storyline? Is it still Kyler Murray as you walk to the airport?
Yeah, it's got to be. You know, and I'll hit on this a little bit more tomorrow, probably in the open of the show, but you know, we're leaving here with pretty much 90 to 95% of the combine thinking he's number 1 overall.
Wow. Which
coming in is kind of crazy, you know. And Brockman, you and I, and we were on the air on the radio when his measurements came in the other day, and it was 5'10" and an eighth. And you know, back in the day, somebody measures 5'10" and an eighth. You'd check the send home box. You'd be like, that's the end of that. Now somebody checked the 5'10" and an eighth box, and it's like, okay, he's ready. So that evaluation has totally changed for the quarterback, and I know that's what you were talking about last week, Chris, about, you know, that why do we have to measure this stuff, and you know, what's the difference between 5'9" and 3/4 and 5'10" and 1/8? You know, the answer is half an inch, but the evaluation has changed. I mean, there's no doubt that people are evaluating a quarterback of that size totally differently. And whether he's number 1 overall or not, I don't know. But we're leaving here thinking that that's the case, which means an incredibly talented defensive line group would get pushed further down if that happens, which means, you know, the 49ers would get most likely Bosa. The Jets would have a choice between Quinnen Williams and other supremely talented defensive linemen. And, you know, we might have the first 5 picks of the draft be defensive linemen if they don't even take Kyler Murray. But somebody's going to take him, I think, in the top 5 or trade up. And if it does go lineman for the start of the draft, I think that would be the Jets' dream, that there they are in the 3 spot with Kyler Murray. I think the phone would ring off the hook if that happens for them.
Well, let me ask you that, Rich, because that's our poll question today. Where should Kyler Murray be drafted? You said 95% of the combine thinks he's going number 1. Do you think he should go number 1 or top 10, first round, day 2 or later?
Well, I don't know. Well, how about this? I will. What are the results right now?
Right now, first round is leading the way at 38%.
Oh, yeah.
Top 10, 35%.
Yeah, I think he's the top 10 pick for sure. I think there's no question about it. There's no doubt about it. I would be stunned if he even fell out of the top 10. You know, the question when we were talking about him deciding between football and baseball, when we hung up the phone with him day before the Heisman, when he was on our show, the question was, well, baseball or football? He's got to figure out what his draft status is, and you know, if he's the 32nd overall pick in the draft, he would make just only a handful of dollars less than what he's making as baseball. And that question is, that debate is over. I mean, that's an antiquated conversation. I mean, he is a top 10 pick as the day is long, and he's going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, there's tons of people who fell in love with this kid, unless you know something happens totally unforeseen. I think he's definitely a top 10.
Rich Eisen of the Rich Eisen Show joining the program. Kirk Morrison. filling in for Rich until. Before I ask you the next question, are you probable, doubtful for tomorrow? We just want to make sure on the injury
Oh, no,
report.
I'm in for tomorrow.
Okay,
I mean, I could still drag my ass out of the house and get down to the studio and sit in that seat for 3 hours. I mean, let's not kid each other.
Okay, so you are probable.
But this flight home, I'm going to have, hopefully I need to get that aisle seat to get up and stretch, move around. I mean, I think that's what I'll be hydrating throughout the day, throughout the night. I'll be doing all that stuff.
Okay.
But I'll be there tomorrow. I mean. And you've done all you can do there, Kirk. So I'll be back.
I appreciate it. So now, should I move Shaq out of the way from the Icy Hot commercials and enter Rich Eisen?
Yeah, pretty much. I'll take that over.
Hey, Rich, a couple more before we let you go. I know that, look, this has been about Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins, but what other player or players really caught your attention over the last couple of days?
Well, I mean, Daniel Jeremiah, again, he's our first guest tomorrow. He had the perfect words for DK Metcalf. He's the human bat suit, is the way he described him. I mean, that is just insane what he looked like and what he ran. And, the number of times he was there, he's a top 10 pick. And then Bose is a top 10 pick. And Quinnen Williams is a top 10 pick. And so on and so forth. We can keep going down the list. At some point, somebody's going to fall out of the top 10. And, man, people sitting there in the middle of the first round are going to be very happy. And the Patriots, Chris, if they don't get Josh Rosen with this whole thing as you're hoping for, I asked DJ during the broadcast how many defensive players does he think he's going to go in the first round, and his answer was you could tell everybody that they can only draft defensive players in the first round. No offensive players allowed to be drafted in the first round. And the Patriots would be very happy with the player they get at number 32. That's how deep it is on the defensive side of the ball for this draft. So, at the top of the list is Nick Bosa, who I heard players and teams were halfway through the season saying, well, we have no chance to make the playoffs this year, but at least we have a shot at Nick Bosa. that kid that showed up here and he looked healthy, and DJ called Quadzilla, with his legs. So it was pretty amazing seeing these defensive players in the flesh, and they're coming to the NFL this fall.
Last question before we let you go, Rich. How do you handle misinformation versus truth when it comes to a lot of the evaluators there outside of your group of guys, but you have a general manager come on, we like this guy. You hear what's going on in Arizona now, that they're all in, like you mentioned, on, Kyler Murray possibly. But how do you handle the misinformation versus truth?
I don't know. I mean, there's a ton of people that just keep talking and then sending stuff out. The number of times that DJ held his phone up to me and showed me a rumor that he had texted to him. Wow. It happened once an hour, and we'll see which ones pan in and pan out. But, thankfully I'm just in the business of, certainly here, just setting up somebody like DJ or Charles or Dion or whatever. Dion was on fire today. We're just dealing with what we see on the field and what we think of the kids and where they think they should be placed and wound up, and leave those conjecture to others.
Well, Rich, I always want to thank you for allowing me to sit at the desk while you're away. So I appreciate it, man. Safe travels. I know the guys can't wait for you to come back, and so can I, man.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
100%.
Of course,
100%.
Oh, my gosh.
100%.
Trust me, they
Can't wait
miss
to
you.
see
They
it.
miss
Is
you,
that
Rich.
misinformation or is that truth? Like, you tell me. You tell me. I mean, that's the same thing. Is that
You know what? Go run another 40 in your suit.
Thank you.
That's my opinion.
Great drop, Mikey. Great job.
All right.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Safe travels, Rich.
Safe travels, brother.
Thanks, Rich.
All right, brothers. Take care.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.